Once again, I get to meet up with Jim Forsythe, who is running for New Hampshire Senate, and it's nice to see you again, Jim. It's been a little bit. We haven't crossed paths too often lately.
I've been out in the woods knocking on doors.
I understand. You've knocked on how many doors so far in your campaign?
Over 1,000, maybe 1,500 by now.
Wow. So what has the reception been so far?
It's been great. People are really frustrated. That's the sense I'm getting. When I knock on doors, I say I'm running out of frustration with Concord, and everybody's like, oh, you bet.
Well, certainly we heard the frustration tonight, since we're standing here at the Taylor home in Laconia, and Frank Guinta just completed a campaign event, and certainly a lot of the folks that were here, about 40-odd people, mostly seasoned citizens. There's a lot of outrage and there's a lot of unease here. What are you hearing as you knock on the doors?
There is, and there's also a lot of cynicism, which I heard here tonight. People cynical that we can get change and we can get good politicians in there to turn things around. And, I made the analogy tonight that, we defeated the British Empire. We can fix this. Our challenges are much smaller than they were back then. But people are going to need to be involved and make sure they support good people and really help them out and make some sacrifices.
Certainly, I think a lot of it from these folks' perspective is they see stuff that is basically turned upside down. What used to be right is now wrong. What used to be up and morally upstanding is now not so much anymore. In fact, there's a brand new law that has just been signed by our governor, who I call Governor John Do-Nothing Lynch. Although this time he's actually gone and done something I think is rather wrong, where the law that he has just signed basically says that if employers catch employees stealing amounts above $500, well, if they get fired for that, they're still going to get unemployment. Is that correct? Have I understood that right?
Right.
What is your sense of this? Morally, why should we reward people with unemployment for stealing?
So yes, if you steal less than $500, if you steal $499, you can continue to collect unemployment. So it makes no sense. It's legalized theft. But I guess I'm not surprised, since Governor Lynch went after the JUA for over $100 million. He figures he ought to let everybody else take a little bit as well.
Yeah, and that's the ongoing issue, that here we are, the governor of New Hampshire, and yet he seems to miss the important principle of basically the right to private property. He is trying to take something that is not his, which is basically the $110 million from the JUA fund.
Right.
He's already been slapped down once by the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Now he's trying to, by all accounts, trying to take the money just based on rewriting the regulation rules in the insurance department. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's actually very surprising to me that he's keeping at it. I mean, it just shows how desperate they are to balance the budget. That's just so out of whack, and they've misspent so much and re-spending so much. I don't see an explanation for it, because he's coming down in the polls, and he keeps going after that JUA money. It doesn't make sense to me.
And one last thing, one of the primary things that you will be faced with, if indeed you are elected, is the massive deficit that is happening down in Concord. It mirrors just in microcosm to what's going on in D.C., and it's just an enormous problem here. Yet you hear some of the Democrats, especially here in Laconia, where Ed Ellard, the Democrat chair here in Laconia, basically has written in the paper, it's a $63 million surplus we ended up with. Your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I wrote an article saying that Concord is the new D.C., and I complained about the deficit spending and the out-of-control spending and the lack of transparency. And the Democratic Party did a press release against me saying, oh no, they balanced the budget and had a $63 million surplus. And then they also said that they created all sorts of tax incentives for businesses to come here, which doesn't make sense, because they did the LLC tax, which drove business away, the meals and rooms tax, which drove people away. So it's completely inconsistent. No, they haven't balanced the budget. It's still out of whack, and they did a lot of one-time spending in this year that we're going to have to pay for next year. So we're going to start off with a structural deficit of probably $800 million, if not closer. It could be up to $1 billion.
$1 billion for a state that has 1.2 million or 1.3 million people.
Right.
That's quite the burden to put upon households here in New Hampshire.
It sure is, yes. I mean, the state spends about, state and local spends about $8,000 per person. So it's quite a burden for us to bear.
Unbelievable. Well, hopefully we'll be able to cross paths sooner rather than later, Jim. And thank you very much for spending a few minutes with GraniteGrok.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
$199, you can continue to collect unemployment. So it makes no sense. It's legalized theft. But I guess I'm not surprised, since Governor Lynch went after the JUA for over $100 million. He figures he ought to let everybody else take a little bit as well.
Yeah, and that's the ongoing issue, that here we are, the governor of New Hampshire, and yet he seems to miss the important principle of basically the right to private property. He is trying to take something that is not his, which is basically the $110 million from the JUA fund.
Right.
He's already been slapped down once by the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Now he's trying to, by all accounts, trying to take the money just based on rewriting the regulation rules in the insurance department. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's actually